Hello and welcome to episode 450 of the Steel Cage Podcast. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as the mayor of Arthur Ashe Court. Joining me today is a couple of guys that are Grand Slam champions that you know. First joining me, coming with the Grand Slam breakfast from Denny's, it's your Uncle Beak.
Yeah, just a couple of guys, you know, couple of guys, wild and crazy guys,
well-dressed guys, good-looking guys,
crazy guys.
I like that shirt. I don't like Hogan on that shirt, but I like that shirt. It's one of the highest quality shirts I've ever seen in my life. And you're
one of the highest people on the podcast.
Well, yeah, that's always the case. But
the eater
I'll tell
of
you,
nacho cheese, weed infused pretzels.
That's right.
That's
right. That he's not sharing, but he's showing off on the Zoom chat. Yeah. That voice you heard is the man holding down the court, the Boris Becker of the podcast. It's the one and only Neo X.
Howdy, y'all. Good to be here.
Yo.
We were absent from the last episode, so we're here to put this train back on the tracks.
No kidding.
What is podcasting?
That whole thing was nonsense with those old guys that don't do this anymore. Just showing up and hijacking a podcast.
I didn't listen. Was it much of a train wreck?
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. You know, but you know what? It's always been bad. It was bad back in the day, and
I can't say we're great.
Still bad. Yeah. We're good. This is much better. You guys, you're eating something that's probably infused with THC right now. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Not
Neo, walking zombie, just like one of the referees in the NXT WWE thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, none of that makes any sense to me.
That I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on anymore.
And he was like really happy about the whole situation. It's like, yes. Maybe it's like a Smeagol scenario.
What is
He's
your
the Lord
opinion?
of the Ring?
Have either of you actually watched NXT 2.0?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the second episode was much better than the first.
I saw Braun Breaker slap on the what is it? The Steiner recliner.
The Steiner recliner.
Braun Breaker is the new god above pro wrestling. I'm glad it's AEW and their whole roster versus Braun Breaker at this point.
I'm sorry, but Braun Breaker reminds me of like a broke ass Hammerstone.
It's a really
No, he is like a miniature Steiner brother because he's a Steiner.
I get that. I get that. It's just like his move set reminds me of like he's trying to do Hammerstone.
No, he's totally working exactly Steiner Brothers.
Hammerstone is working Steiner.
No, I was going to say, actually, Hammerstone does work a very classic wrestling style. And that's the reason why
high
at times
kicks and pump kicks and fucking all kinds of crazy shit.
I never thought, I always thought he was amazing looking. The guy is one of the nicest human beings. He always wants me to go work out with him, which is that's a shoot, brother. That's not a work. And I say that because it's preposterous. I've seen his workout videos on Facebook, and he fucking takes like smelling salt before he lifts 10,000 pounds, and he wants me to spot him? What? With those weights? What am I going to do if he can't lift it? He wants me to grab the bar and lift it and
he wants you to call 911.
Yeah, that's all that I'm going to be able to do. I don't even know if I'll do a good job at that, but I never thought he would get over with his moveset. And it's funny because now he is, because wrestling has like transcended and moved so far away from that traditional pro wrestling moveset that now he's actually unique. And here we are calling a new guy that does a traditional pro wrestling moveset a copycat of Hammerstone. I find it delightful that it's come full circle like that.
He wrestles more like his dad than he does his uncle, but he sounds like fucking Scott more. But going back to the overall
he's
show,
definitely a combo of both.
The first show was like kind of bland and even stagnant because all the white walls. The second show, wow, so much better. They lit the walls in like this cool orange.
The second show, like
they packed their show with like every segment had at least like 5 different fucking people on it. That
was the weird part. Like you were introducing so many people at any given point. It was kind of hard to keep track of everybody.
It was wild.
I felt like they were just
wild.
throwing stuff against the wall with some of these people that debuted, just to kind of see what would happen.
Sure,
I felt like they were doing their promo drills on live TV. It really felt like practice run for these guys.
I got that exact same sense. I got the exact same feeling. What I thought though was this is maybe what NXT should be a little bit more of, right? NXT there for a while was the best show WWE produced. We all thought that. The majority of the, I guess, smarky internet fans kind of thought that. And I think anybody that really watched pro wrestling that, wasn't a kid or a casual, viewer would probably have said the same thing, right? NXT was a superior show. Some of the takeovers were the best pay-per-views of the year for like 2019 and things like that. That's when I kept making over and over my point about how NXT is actually detrimental to the rest of WWE because of that, right? It's so good. Not only does it overshadow the main roster, but all of the exciting things that make pro wrestling fun happen in NXT, right? AEW is exciting because when I was watching AEW Grand Slam tonight, the roster and the stuff I was watching, don't get me wrong, Kenny Omega was there on day one and he started out, in an amazing match against Bryan Danielson to open up the show. But just watching the whole show, I'm like, this show has come so far in 2 years from what it was to what it is now. And I never in a million years back then expected it to be what it is now.
So much so that NXT had to completely change their direction. They had to revamp entirely. They're like, we're throwing everything out. Here's our new thing.
Right. Because
you never expected WWE to correct that much for anybody.
What I think it was a loss, right? They were going to lose.
Thank you. Exactly right. Because it went so bad or not so bad, but it happened so much that they had to go from their Wednesday night show to Tuesday night.
Yep.
Because they were, in fact, losing that ratings war on Wednesday nights.
And the shows were getting boring. Honestly, the TV product was getting boring. The pay-per-view still delivered as far as match-wise, but the show overall was getting kind of boring. And I just feel like they have pumped up so much in this fucking new revamp that it honestly reminds me of back in the day when Raw, when they were all these mid-carders were on TV constantly, and whoever actually caught on, who the fans started cheering for, then fine, we're going to start pushing that guy because somebody caught on. And I feel that there's a good opportunity that's going to happen when they're pushing these many people at the same time.
There's just this thing where guys are supposed to move on to the main roster. And there comes a time where you have to start asking yourself, if the purpose of NXT is development, which I feel that's what we're seeing now more with this NXT 2.0, why is Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa still there? Those are guys that arguably are two of the best wrestlers on your roster.
I think Ciampa actually honestly has requested not to be moved up or something.
Really? Okay.
It feels like it. Honestly, he always talks about he is the face of NXT. He's still in the top position when everyone got revamped. Yeah. And I know people might say that, there's so many people gone, everyone's going to get lost in the shuffle, but somebody's going to catch on. It has to happen. It's bound to happen when you're throwing this many fish in the pot.
I honestly think that what they're doing is probably for the best. I think that for what they have going on the main roster hasn't been working now for a considerable amount of time. Yep. So from this point on, if they bring in guys that have experience and are ready to be on TV, then they don't
want to do that anymore. They just want to bring in people that they can fucking crash.
And I understand that, but that there's going to come a time where everything at AEW isn't going to be perfect. Sure. Right? There's going to be guys that are going to feel a little cast aside because they were there to build the company, and now the company has Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. People are going to get cast aside. Just naturally, right?
Derek calls it here first. Sean Spears back to NXT.
I've just seen, I wouldn't be surprised to see WWE deciding to go in that direction, to grab some of their guys and then have them debut in a big way in WWE instead of going through the NXT system.
That would be so fun. Like, imagine this is not happening, but imagine for some reason Orange Cassidy got sick of AEW and Vince wanted to go with him. Fucking Orange Cassidy showing up on Raw would be so fucking rad.
Right. I'm just saying, and I agree with you, these are completely hypothetical situations that are never going to happen, but I would say a little bit more realistic, and I fucking love him, so I hate to constantly feel like I'm bashing him by saying like, oh man, but Joey Janela, right?
Oh, okay.
He's a guy that was a huge part of this company, and he's that level of guy that I could see, basically feeling like
he could be the Jericho situation when Jericho left WCW to go to fucking WWE.
Exactly. You're already on the same path as me. Exactly.
Yeah, buddy.
That's the exact thought process I had. It's a matter of WWE taking somebody that the wrestling audience already knows. We don't need to repackage them. We don't need to change their name. We don't need to do dumb shit like that anymore. Those are all their rules. Just like the Forbidden Door was created essentially by WWE, a lot of things in pro wrestling are rules only because WWE created them, right? Yep. And now it's to their own detriment. We saw the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, return to wrestling for the first time in God knows how long, and have one of the most incredible matches I've ever seen.
And such an old
free television.
Such an old school finish.
It was like, and I wasn't even mad about it.
Exactly. That's the best
thing
about it.
I wasn't even mad about it.
Normally in a fucking draw, you're like, well, fucking A. But here's like, all right, this is good storytelling. That is a good first chapter.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know if that's just because even WWE kind of conditioned us on that kind of stuff and they don't really do it anymore. There's things that you stick to. And I remember I even rewound it just to hear if the announcer said there's a 30-minute time limit on that match. And he sure the fuck did. And I was like, all right, it's official. Ring that bell. This was awesome.
I was expecting a 5 more minute situation, but I'm glad they didn't go that way.
Right. I've never seen Brian look that fucked up though during a match. Holy shit, man.
Yeah, he looked like the blood caplets in his chest created a Picasso. It was gross.
It's incredible, right? I mean, they fucking went at it and did not hold back. They gave their all. It was and it was everything we wanted to see, like you said, Beak, in a first chapter. Yeah. I mean, it literally felt like that 30 minutes was round 1 of a 12-round fight.
100%.
I saw a really interesting interview with him talking about his time at WWE. And we know that Brian wrote that article for the Players Tribune about his time thanking the WWE, but he elaborated further on, just things like blaming himself for the WWE not trusting him with his health because he lied about how he was feeling and when he was hurt and what the symptoms were, just so he could continue wrestling.
And that's what's crazy about that is that he's been conditioned by old school wrestling mentality that's what you're supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to nut up and not say you're as injured so you can keep working. Like, you're being dependent on, and then they get mad at it, which makes sense because now they're actually obligated to be concerned about his health.
Right. Yeah. Another interesting thing he said was that at the time of WrestleMania 30, which is what most people consider to be his high point, he considered that to be his low point. Interestingly enough, he was main eventing WrestleMania at the time, and he was sharing a single car with his wife. And apparently there were times where he didn't have enough strength in his arm because of the nerve damage to open the car door. And doctors, like, outside of wrestling, because he was, I guess, seeing like other doctors and stuff, straight up told him, like, this is going to be permanent. You're going to lose strength, where you're not going to be able to do things in your body. So and again, he blames himself. He takes that responsibility or that blame for the fact that he was so dedicated to being in wrestling and to doing this, that he's
literally putting his life on the line, man.
Putting his life on the line.
Is.
It's crazy.
And this guy has a child, or no, 2 children. And holy
and I think they got a French bulldog.
And a French bulldog, right? That's important. That's important information. I just wonder if this is the kind of environment that WWE breeds, right? I think the
wrestling environment breeds that, but Vince definitely. He back in the day, especially, he didn't want anybody to take any time off. He considered that weakness. Like, you would probably lose your push if you decided, hey, I need even a week off. So yeah, you're conditioned to just fucking nut the fuck up.
Remember when we were kids and we had no idea where people went?
Yeah.
Like when they would just disappear off TV, we were like, hey, what happened?
We didn't even consider them real people. Like,
yeah, like, right.
Don't they just show up for wrestling? Like, why would they be doing anything else? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's not an actual human being, right? Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how WWE treats people. Like you said, that's how wrestling treats people, right? Yeah. It just seems like AEW is trying to do things differently, and I would hope that they take a different approach to try to change that. That especially
they legitimately
the way that
gave Adam Page time off for mental health. Like, the guy wanted to take some time off for himself, and they granted that, and they're not mad at him.
Yeah, that's wild, because Adam Page to me right now is one of the top wrestlers in the world, right?
Man, just stepping away at that time, like, yeah. And it's not even because he's like super injured; he's because he just needs to deal with some shit, and they're like, "Dude, we get it."
It's understandable, because he's definitely one of those people that's living a true like double life. I don't know if he still teaches, but he was a teacher, and
I don't think he does.
No, but he was really dedicated to it. You know what I mean? And like, that's something that he had grown accustomed to doing on the side from teaching, right? Is pro wrestling and teaching at the same time. AEW comes along and your life dramatically changes, and sometimes that balance between having a normal life and being a pro wrestler kind of evens you out a little bit. I'll say that, I recently started this new job with the sports website, and I don't even know what to do with myself sometimes, because I've been so used to having a day job that I had to maintain. And then any kind of other things that I did, including this podcast, were stuff I had to kind of fit in here or there, sometimes I have so much free time, I don't even know what the hell to do with myself, and
sure.
And that's legit. Even though I have tasks and things to do, I can't focus on those because I've never had this much freedom to kind of like
so much freedom to do activities.
Well, yeah, right. Roam around in my house or leave the house in my car and go places. Like I've always had to be attached to a desk.
Speaking of the new website, Derek, I was thinking about something. I was thinking we should rebrand and be Steel Cage, but just STCG.
LCG. I fucking love it. Let's go.
Black and white logo.
I'll get us a DraftKings code. By the way, go download the DraftKings Sports app. You can get it right now. Use code PHNX.
We're not getting paid for this one, Dave.
Simply for making your first bet of $1 on any college or NFL football game.
Payola.
Get $150 in free bets back. I don't know. I'm programmed to do it now, Beak. I can't stop myself.
I hear you.
But yeah, I think.
You hear him? You should have been. Woe is me. I had to record him like 8 times saying it into my phone.
Oh yeah, he's a good director, by the way. If you need somebody to coddle you and tell you you're doing a good job and hug you with words, it's this guy right here, Neo X. That's my guy. AEW once again giving away one of their biggest cards of the year, a pay-per-view as a free show over multiple nights. Oof. Right?
Yeah, let's recognize that. Holy shit!
I mean, it's fucking incredible. And that's the thing about it, was I didn't even understand that, despite the fact that they were saying it on TV a lot. My brain just kind of kept going, oh man, another pay-per-view we got to get together for. And I was like, oh wait, no, it's on Wednesday.
They literally have pay-per-view level matches on their Dynamite show every week. So it's like
every week. Yeah.
This is just a little, it's just a little bit more packed Dynamite. And you see that one guy, I think he's from Wrestling Soup or some shit. His name's John Draper. He said that wrestling podcasters are pretending to like AEW more than they actually do, just for the sake of the company.
Well, this show
was like,
this show's in there.
How does this guy's brain
shill,
work that way?
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh man.
But hey,
sorry,
I'll chill all day.
Sorry that our favorite pro wrestlers are over there and they're being allowed to be themselves and do what they want and fucking are.
Actually, I want to find this so I can read it.
That's nonsense. I sincerely think that this last pay-per-view won all of us over. You know what I mean? Like it reinvigorated a feeling in you that you, for me at least, that I thought was lost, right? I didn't think that a pay-per-view could make me feel that way, right? It's kind of like some of the stuff AEW does that I don't approve of. A great example of that is the fact that for a long time now, they've been having these specials on free television that I felt like it was kind of hokey, that they needed to call it, you know, Bash at the Beach or whatever. And it was just a Dynamite. And here I am 2 years later, and I've come to absolutely love it. Whenever they do it, I dig it. And I mean, yes, it's not a pay-per-view really, but also at the same time, they always seem to step it up. Like Beak said, they offer pay-per-view quality matches all the time, but then yet they do these shows that are still free and they still manage to step it up. Yeah.
Let's also recognize the fact that we have been pre-programmed to think like these types of matches are supposed to be pay-per-view level. And it makes sense because I mean, Omega versus Bryan Danielson, I would have immediately thought
matchup ever. We're fucking spoiled rotten brats.
That was the kickoff show.
That was the first match of the night.
Literally,
like CM Punk said. CM Punk came out and said, "Good luck following that. I'm glad I'm not wrestling on Dynamite tonight." And he's absolutely right. Right.
And it's just one of those things where, and this is just the fact that this is just Dynamite. I mean, I always preach to everyone, like, you don't even know what you're missing out by missing Dark and Dark Elevation. You know, like I give Mega Ranch shit about it all the time. Or anybody who just doesn't watch Dark or Dark Elevation, like, you're doing yourself a disservice, in my opinion, because there's just so much free wrestling that you can absorb.
Yeah, no, and true. I think the other thing about it is that
very true.
AEW Dark and Dark Elevation just do a great job of highlighting indie talent that aren't signed.
And right? for some reason, I feel like AEW, I've heard this argument before where like people feel like AEW gets a bad rap for not including like a lot of backstage segments or storylines in the initial show. But like, you can catch all the lead up and programs and video packages for free on YouTube. You know,
I think the problem is that people don't have that kind of time, and people,
yeah, like but I don't have that kind of time to spend an extra hour like in WWE, where it's a 3-hour show and they're like peppering it in with like all this subplots and stuff.
That's what I was going to say. We just like you said, we're conditioned to be caught up on it by the program, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I used to really find that drew me into pro wrestling when I didn't watch it regularly was the fact that I had no fucking clue what was going on when I tuned in, right? Storylines were going on. I haven't been watching it. All of a sudden I tune into an episode of Raw and it's just, you know, mid storyline build up to St. Valentine's Day Massacre or some shit like that, right?
A classic.
Yeah, right. My point being is that I always remember being like excited about that. It's kind of like what I've always said for years about movies, that like why Star Wars was such a good movie, because they plopped you in midway into the story. And when you start watching it, you're just going like, what the fuck's going on? Who's that? What's that? Okay, I get it. And like, you know, we're all smart enough to figure things out, and storylines aren't that complicated for us to grasp onto pretly quickly.
It's terrible for girlfriends, because girlfriends what the hell's going on, babe? Babe, I just started watching it with you. I don't know. We're in the same place. What's going on? Let me see.
Yeah.
By the
He's
way, I
not
found
wrong.
that tweet. He had deleted it, but the internet is forever. So that guy,
Yeah, it
John
lives forever.
Draper, here's his reaction to the way people love AEW.
Let's go.
The majority of wrestling podcasters are lying about their enthusiasm and exaggerating the greatness of AEW in an attempt to not only make money, but to keep a younger, unstable fan base off
Fan
their
bass.
backs.
Show me that fan bass.
Fan base off of their backs on social media from attacking them all the time. And it's working big time. So we're all pretending to enjoy the show so we don't get trolled.
Interesting.
I
didn't know that. I didn't know I was pretending.
Yeah.
But
what an interesting take, John Draper.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say that. It's kind of like
he's the MJF of Twitter right now.
There's you know who I want to give well, that's later. Winner of the week is already decided for me. But I want to say that they continue to do an excellent job at doing adult storylines, and I don't think WWE does. I don't think WWE does things that, you know,
give me an example of what you speak of so we can maybe get some context.
Well, I think like just kind of what's happened between Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega, for instance, right?
Oh, okay.
And I guess the context and the history has been explained by the announcers and then the situation, but we also kind of know it. And there's a lot to be implied that they're not just straight up spoon feeding you, right?
Yeah, they are respecting the existing knowledge of their fan base, which is a lot of diehards.
Right. And I think that's the part where I feel
are we gonna get us banned? Oh, we're not.
No, he absolutely is going to get us banned. But you hit the nail on the head. You said it more eloquently than I could. That's basically what it is. It's not necessarily like that it's storylines for children. It's just the way that WWE feels the need to build stuff up, where they have to tell you the whole thing from scratch without at all
reiterate it over and over.
Yeah. And like Neo was saying, then also
when Michael Cole
every time you watch it, have those peppered in video packages telling you what happened last week when we already watched last week, because we're people that watch the show.
And when Michael Cole is just peppering the name of the event, it just really gets on my nerves now.
Yeah, they're
really
so heavy-handed with that shit, dude. They're so heavy-handed.
They're heavy-handed with a lot of what they do. And
yeah, it's like fucking these edicts that they have to like go formula. All right, now parrot the talk.
Yes.
Here's now where you parrot the things we're parroting.
And that's kind of the problem, right? Is because sometimes with things like this that are an art, that are a television show, that kind of require people to be CM Punk jumping in that crowd.
Everybody.
I like how CM Punk doesn't even really make sure people are going to be okay with it before doing it too. Now he just goes full in.
We're going.
But anyway, I
as long as we're not playing audio, we won't be banned. Peak.
Okay, good.
I don't believe you.
I think
they'll figure it out somehow. Let's cut about what we're talking about. We're just talking about this stuff.
What are your thoughts on the rest of Grand Slam, fellas?
I like the show overall, pretty amazing. I first want to say how amazing it is to see CM Punk happy in a wrestling ring. And
I know it's wild.
Walking out, like his excitement actually gets me jazzed, because you could tell how much he hated this thing he previously loved, and to see him reinvigorated. His addiction was pro wrestling, you guys. He was straight edge, but addicted to pro wrestling, and that addiction is back.
Well, and even if he was just a mascot for this company, he would bring me so much joy.
Yes.
Because like you said, him just coming out there was delightful, just his.
But then knowing he's going to wrestle and fucking hearing Cult of Personality hit and just going, yeah, that riff rules. Getting all marking out.
I really want to find out what the Meltzer scale has been for AEW since like this year. So if that exists, if that exists somewhere in the internet, I just want to see it. And I know people give Meltzer a lot of shit, but I've seen a lot of Meltzer's 5-star matches that he's put on the website, and I've never disagreed with him. I'll tell you what.
That's the thing about Meltzer. Like, people can hate him. He is just a fan, so they're like, well, I don't have to take his opinion seriously because he's just a fan. But he's watch probably more wrestling than ever, all of us. So doesn't that give him some more credence to take his opinion into account? Like, not for the new stuff, but for actually critiquing wrestling matches. Like, the guy's pretty spot on a lot of the time, right?
I mean, in my opinion, yeah, because I've watched lots of WWE programming and lots of NJPW programming and now AEW programming. And yeah, like I can't ever put my finger on a WWE match and say, wow, that was 5-star. Like I only give 5-star matches to NXT matches.
And like him, the only thing people can really, in my opinion, get salty on him was when he reports stuff that maybe is not true, or he just rushes to report it before he's actually flushed it all out. Like that thing with Alexa. Apparently someone reported, or he reported, that people were walking out in the segment with him and Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, and they're like, that didn't happen, Dave. He said like 1,200 people walked out. Jeez. And then like, no, that's not true. By the way, I love that segment. And Derek, you know how much I hate on Alexa Bliss. That was one of the best Alexa Bliss moments since she started this fucking bullshit.
No, you're really absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I feel like they pulled back on the Lily stuff a bit, you know, like I know that she's still part of it, but it was the most complete we've seen this character. I don't know what the fuck that they were doing with her at all, to be honest.
The evil is mine.
It felt like it was still just kind of a placeholder for Bray Wyatt to come back to, and then once he was no longer with the company, it felt definitely a little bit lost. But
you feel like they want to step back from it, but they've invested so much they're not willing to admit it. Well, it would seem like an instant, like, all right, pulling back entirely is too much.
Yeah, and I also think that it's still like very popular, right? It's still going to be good for a segment of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit tainted right now. You know, people are mad at it because Bray Wyatt was let go from the company. So seeing her continue with this gimmick is going to kind of have ill feelings towards it, you know. That's my initial thought. You kind of have to power through that for a little bit until people get over it, and then people will have a short memory, and this will just be considered what she has been for a while if they stick through it. Like you said, this was the best segment that she's had as this character yet.
Well, I always felt like if WWE is gonna commit to something, they should really go all in with it. So when they were giving her like voodoo Jedi mind control powers, like I thought like, oh, they could do a lot more with that, and they haven't. And I'm like, oh, because I think people do see it.
That does appeal to some people, and get me wrong, just because I hate it, I don't think everything on the show has to appeal to me. So if they could possibly do stuff that people like, but it was kind of corny and they pulled back a little bit.
Yeah, it was really corny, but I felt like if they would have really leaned into it, like you could have had,
they shouldn't have done none of the fucking telekinesis shit. Like,
all of the magical power stuff was corny.
Like blood and like or making people like melt stuff is fine with me, but her actually making people physically do things while she's looking at them, that shit was fucking corny.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
And that's the thing. Like I always felt like if they're gonna save something, like they should really just lean into it, and just like she should have thrown what's the 24/7 title champion, what's his name,
the current Reginald.
Reginald. Like she should have like blasted Reginald into like midair. He could have just flipped out of the ring or whatever.
Or if they want to make her a baby face, actually, like have her transform some people to like make them better by giving her this weird bliss power. I don't know, I know they have a lot invested in her, and I think she's pretty talented overall.
Well,
I hate this.
Well, and the other thing,
I hate everything WWE does. Like, no matter what, there's always something.
Should we just stop talking about that show?
But they could really save this if they just like pit her as this Joker-esque character versus like Nikki ASH. Like, if they really leaned into that, I really think that can go a long way.
That's going to stink of Harley Quinn, though.
But again, you gotta lean into it. You just have to lean into it. Like if you have this over the top evil person and you have this over the top good person, it would make more sense that they would start clashing versus putting this very good, superhero type person, and now she's the tag team champion with Rhea Ripley, who is rock goddess of death metal. It doesn't make sense in my book.
Nothing
Then you
makes
have
sense.
okay.
I have 3 words for you. I have 3 fucking words for you. Keith Bearcat Lee.
Isn't it Bearcat Keith Lee?
Bearcat Lee.
Bearcat
Keith Lee. I don't fucking know, and I don't care. No matter where you put it, it's stupid.
But what you're talking about, especially about Alexa not going all in, now she's trying to be a babyface going against Charlotte when her gimmick is literally she's imbibed with evil. Now she's a babyface.
Yeah. And the thing is, there just hasn't been a viable turn versus I kind of felt like there was I felt like there was going to be a double turn or I think there was a double turn in tonight's episode when it was Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes, because I felt like everybody was singing Cody Rhodes' theme song and really hyped that he came out, but then during the middle of the match, everybody just started turning on him.
Nobody likes Cody Rhodes, and I don't even think that I disagree with you that everybody was into him when he came out. I felt like it was a mixed reaction.
I heard people
even when he came out
singing his songs and stuff.
Well, some people do like Cody, and I like Cody, but it's kind of hard when he's going up against Malachi Black, and Cody is, it's obvious he's the babyface, especially with the way he won.
Roundhouse kicking old men. And stuff like that.
Yeah, people these days are conditioned to think that's rad, not DC.
Awesome. Not rad. It's not rad.
It's so cool.
Devious. It's not rad, man.
It's so cool.
No, I saw a tweet actually during the match. Was somebody said, you think it bums Cody out that his reaction is always like this? and I do. He definitely expects a bigger one.
It definitely bums him out. I can 100%.
He wants to be loved.
He had said during an interview he didn't even understand why, and at times, don't get me wrong, at times I think he's brilliant.
I like him.
I like him as a in-ring performer for sure.
Here's what's crazy though.
Yeah, but I want to know what you're going to say for sure.
The stuff I think he's brilliant for is that I feel like there's always something coming, so I'm like, oh man. Nah, no. I know he said that, but I mean, this is leading to a heel turn or something. Just you wait. And then it's and then the heel turn never comes. He
actually said, I guess he'll retire before he ever turns heel. Right. I didn't see the interview, but that's what somebody quoted him as saying.
It was the Homelander stuff where I guess someone had asked him and he apparently seemed oblivious to his look.
I'm sorry, but I felt like people were definitely they just connected the dots. I don't think he personally I'm gonna cosplay as Homelander.
No, you're right.
Thing, but no. At the same time, him being oblivious, that it was similar.
Right? Yeah. It's exactly.
When people pointed out, and he's like, I don't think so, and you're like,
that's why what you're saying. I think you're 100% right. Neo, I think he had no idea. I think he was just going with a super American look, and he had no idea that between the blonde hair and the fucking outfit and everything, how close they came to making him look like he was pulling off Homelander cosplay, right? So it's a lot of stuff like that, right? Also, you gotta kind of know Malachi Black is going to be this fucking really cool underground guy that a lot of people are into, right? I understand you want to bring him into this company as a heel, but that shit doesn't work anymore, right? Who they attack and shit and how and their actions. Sometimes, this is a generation of fans raised by Stone Cold Steve Austin. We are conditioned to not give a fuck when you kick the announcer's ass or do any. As a matter of fact, we cheer louder when you do that. His entire feud with Cody has felt a little misplaced if the purpose was for Cody to do anything but put him over. Right?
They overestimated our love for Arn Anderson. We all love Arn Anderson.
Oh shit!
We all love Arn Anderson, but we've seen his entire career of him getting ass kicked for Ric Flair.
I'm Team Tosh. I'm Team Daniel Tosh. So. Sorry,
bring it on, Arn Anderson.
Fuck yourself, Arn Anderson.
His career has been taking bumps for Ric Flair. We're gonna see this guy get his ass kicked. We empathize only so much.
Right. But I still thought it was an excellent match. I just wasn't a big fan of the finish of that match. Again, because it was the super heel finish for Malachi Black with the spitting shit in his face and all of that. But also, I think I had a problem with how much he handed Cody his ass the last time they've, interacted. And then now all of a sudden it's like a fair fight now that, it's this way. Well, I know he kind of
much better in the
right. He did training, I guess. I was a big fan of the MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr. match. I thought that was great. MJF's mom and dad showed up wearing "I hate MJF" shirts with signs bashing their own son. So
marks.
I'm just gonna say right now that his mom is my winner of the week because
oh man,
yeah, I know it's early.
That's bold.
I liked this a lot. I enjoyed this match.
Are you guys excited for Roads to the Top?
No, not at all. Are we going back to that? Why are you going back to that? We're talking about MJF versus Brian.
I thought
Pillman.
you were saying like you love the Cody Rhodes and Malachi Black match.
I am. Have you not been paying attention for the last like 90 to 100 seconds?
There's been at least 2 minutes.
You went like one tangent one way when I was still programmed to talk about Cody versus Malachi.
Oh, I apologize. Go on back to Cody versus Malachi, please.
I will hang on a second. I will agree with Dave. He didn't get an opportunity to get his feelings in about that match before we moved on to MJF. So go ahead.
The Cody Malachi one,
please. If you want to.
Well,
only if you want to.
I like I said, I thought there was just a double turn of foot, and and more than like the fact that Brandy crawled into the ring, and said like "fuck you" to Malachi Black. I mean, there was a lot
definitely
of it.
seemed like they were making them get super heelish.
So I guess before we move on, people,
but it's like you said, he's gonna die or retire before he ever becomes heel again, right?
Yeah.
So this is
maybe that was just his heel bullshit, Derek. Lying to us.
Triple turn.
So like he's so. Maybe he's just playing us, making himself like so unaware that he's aware that he's so unaware.
Oh.
And you think in real life he's doing that too?
You guys are sucking me back in because this is why I think all the time. Every time I see him do shit, I'm like, he's 6 steps ahead is what he is. Really,
he did turn to the ref and like get all pissed that the ref was trying to get him off Malachi. Did he actually hit the ref or just like threatened to hit him?
No, he just threatened to hit him. Shoved him.
Yeah.
So
look how angry he's getting.
The last thing I wanted to bring up before we move to the next one is like people make the comparison of the Miz and Cody Rhodes so much. What's your guys' thought on that?
As far as like I could see it as far as the way they carry
as far as the way they carry themselves,
the way they market themselves, the way they market themselves, do stuff outside of
100%. He's trying to follow the Miz's career as far as outside of the WWE, definitely. Yeah.
Now the Miz, I think at least has always been smart enough to know that he's not a great wrestler and that his career isn't. Well,
if your opinion on great wrestling is doing a bunch of moves, name me a person that the Miz is injured.
Oh God!
No, I'm being 100% serious. The guy is a great wrestler. He doesn't do a bunch of crazy moves, but
remember how he fought Shaq?
Anyway.
The judgment of who's a great wrestler should be about.
I swear to God, I will quit this podcast forever if we start having a discussion about Miz being a great wrestler. I will leave forever. I'm not
saying he's one of the greatest of all time. I'm saying he's good at his job.
Okay, that's fine. Fair enough. He's good at his job. We'll say that. But he's better at marketing himself outside of this company. And my point being is he's also smart enough to really see an opportunity to do other things because wrestling doesn't last forever, right? Even if the other things don't last forever, you fucking bankroll a bunch of money now while you're a superstar and then walk away forever. I don't see the fact that
he's doing like other shows, and then the Miz is doing shows, the whole reality show thing, right? So
that's obviously where the comparison is, right?
That bit I love in the commercial for that where he's like, it's so tough to be a CFO or whatever he's bitching about. Like they are the EVP, they always come complaining. It's like, dude, don't gimmick. I know you're gonna gimmick this show, but no one's giving you a fucking hard time. Shut the hell up.
Yeah, no shit. Well, I will say that that's the kind of thing that we think is just some sort of probably bullshit title. But even
okay,
maybe they thought was going to be a bullshit title, but then
Yeah.
someone walked in one day and was like, "Hey, here's all those contracts you got to sign, and when you're done with those, let me know. I've got an expense report I need you to approve." And they're like, "Wait, what? This is like real work?" And they're like, "Yeah, motherfucker, you're an EVP. What'd you think that was just going to be a fucking title? Nah."
Do you know Excel?
I'm gonna
Oh,
train
now we're
you
looking
on
for
the-
that professional wrestler.
I'm gonna train you on the 3 programs we need you to do to get into payroll, okay? And then
Do you
I'm
know
gonna need you to approve everybody's time
SQ
card.
something? What's the thing that's always on like the websites? You need to
Oh,
know
yeah.
SQL.
SQL. All right. Can we talk about MJF now, Neo, or did you have any further thoughts on Cody
I wanted
Rhodes
to
and
talk
Brandy?
about a match we talked about a couple matches back, though.
I'm psyched about Roads to the Top.
Okay,
Roads
cool.
to the top, rock and roll.
Well, should we just wrap it up then?
All right. We've recorded
Winner of the
enough.
week.
You've already technically gave us your winner of the week.
I already gave you the winner of the week. So yeah, so I guess why do we need to do this podcast anymore? Why do we need to talk about the rest of AEW Grand Slam? See, I'm refusing to talk about WWE. The Keith Bearcat Lee shit pissed me off enough that I'm just off my game now. But what I will say is that AEW is still entertaining me.
You know what I would like to see is I would like to see Keith Lee and that guy, what's his name, Odyssey Jones, team up and become the new Natural Disasters. I think that'd be cool.
Okay, I like that. I'm on board with that. And here, since that guy says that we don't say anything bad about podcasting, I didn't like FTR versus Sting and Darby Allin. I've had enough of Sting.
I think FTR is good, but I also kind of find them boring at times. I'll say that.
Sure.
Well, so you get what you expect with FTR.
I don't appreciate them. I don't appreciate them lifting spots from old matches and making people do them. I think that's goofy. Like, I appreciate that they are students of their game, but they're like, hey, this is a spot in an old match. Let's replicate it. To me, I think that's kind of
like goofy. They're like super niche wrestler. Like I think the only people they follow on Twitter are like, everybody from the 80s or something.
Yeah, we're talking shit, dude. See,
fucking
fuck you,
nerds.
Draper.
Yeah, fuck you,
AEW
Draper.
has some shitty shit, dude. There's some shit over there. Yeah, we did it, dude.
Yeah. All right, so that's good. Let's talk about how awesome Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho was for the AEW Women's Championship.
Oh, since we already announced winners of week for one of us, I was gonna say my winner of the week is Ruby Soho.
Fuck yeah,
she
fucking deserves it.
That's right.
How does her theme song go? Ruby Soho.
Yeah.
I hate that people are mocking a very great song.
It's an awesome song. We're not mocking it. Neo just doesn't know it.
I don't know.
He doesn't know the words.
I don't know the things.
But it was a great match.
Yeah.
I really dug it. I love what they're doing with her. Hey, there she is. No. You monster. But she's incredible. I think that she's I loved her videos that she did leading up to this whole thing, and she's just proceeded to kill it the whole time.
The verbal barbs that they threw at each other.
Yeah, they didn't fucking hold back.
Ooh, skating.
You know who goes hard in the paint is Britt Baker, right?
Oh yeah.
And then I think the thing about it is she's very inviting of like that. I have watched so many times in my life now wrestlers plan matches backstage at a show, but I've really never seen people plan like a verbal sparring match like that. And I would love to be in on that. I would love to know how hard they both agree to go at each other. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if they give each other like the barbs, like, oh, you know what? I love my cat. Say my cat's a piece of shit or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
how dare you?
That's where I would go in on Neo, right? I'd be like, you know what? Fuck your cat. And Neo would be like, oh shit. It'd be like Canelo and that guy today, right? That'd be where I cross the line.
I think they definitely run, if they're gonna go that way, they probably run it past them. We're like, hey, I had this line. Like, what do you think? Like, oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Say I'm fucking some dude in the back. That's a good one.
Right. It's definitely an interesting dynamic, and it's something I would I'd love to see, because I've never been a part of a televised wrestling show. Look at that shit. And you're going to tell me that he doesn't look like Homelander. Get the fuck out of here. You didn't plan this? Are you fucking kidding me? You have to be the unluckiest son of a bitch on the planet sometimes. I swear to God, Cody Rhodes.
I don't know. He looks more like a Rough
He
Rider
even
or
has
something.
the fucking shoulder pad things that are
Yeah, I
gold.
was gonna say,
Get the
they
fuck
both
out
got
of
shoulder
here.
eagles. They've got shoulder eagles.
I don't get it. Don't tell me he didn't know. See, this is what makes me think that he's in on this the whole
He's
time.
in on it. He's
in
so in
on
on
it the
it.
whole time. He knows exactly what he's doing. What? How would you not think having the most ostentatious entrance of anybody in the company wouldn't be received poorly by the fans when you're not the champion?
Well, Malachi now has that entrance.
No, I know he did, because he stole it from Cody and he said, "Fuck you, I got your entrance too."
Yeah, but he's the EVP. Yeah, sign off on it. You don't think he looks more like Judge Dredd with those big ass shoulder pads?
No.
I mean, no, he looks like that guy's older brother. Is what he looks like. These guys look like a tag team to me.
He looks like Codelander.
These guys were tag team champions from 2010 to 2013 on WWE television.
I think there's a new
That was a
Jeremy
WCW,
brewing.
the American Blondes.
There's a new Jeremy right there.
American Blondes.
Oh,
American
man.
Blondes.
All right.
American
Well,
Blondes.
I'm sure we missed a match
American
or
Blondes.
two, but I thought one thing I really enjoyed about AEW was how much time that first match took up. I thought that that's what we wanted to see, right? We came tonight to see Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. They gave it to us right out of the gate, and they gave us about 40 straight minutes of that between entrances and the full 30-minute match. If you're if you're mad about that match ending in the 30-minute time limit thing, I got nothing for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
I thought it was chef's kiss. Mwah.
Yeah, it was perfection. It was perfection. I rarely say that about matches. I felt the same way about All Out. Like, to that guy's tweet, to his credit, I'll say, to even questioned myself at times, like, is this really this good, or am I just like jumping on the train of like the new thing because it's new? Realistically, what we saw, especially at the last pay-per-view and in the 3-4 episodes between now and then, has been a truly excellent wrestling show.
Yep.
A show that I can't wait to watch the next episode of. A show I can't wait to see what happens. In fact, sometimes
You're not wrong, man.
When they just end an episode of Dynamite with a match and then that match ends, it's kind of like when a Marvel movie ends without an end credit scene, right? Like, I'm so conditioned now to AEW giving me that little extra something special that makes me go, whoa, holy shit, that like when a match just is the finale of a fucking episode of AEW and then they like go, like it ends and they celebrate and it goes to black, I'm almost a bit disappointed, because I was expecting, like,
I need my post. Where's my post?
Someone else to walk out. Yeah, where's who else is joining? I thought someone else would come out tonight.
I've been actually excited to watch wrestling both Tuesday nights and tonight, and that has translated to me actually not necessarily dreading to do this podcast anymore, but enjoying it. Like, every once in a while, I'm like, I don't want to go talk about this. Let me explain. I don't want to get on there and just.
I heard what he said, Neil. I
don't want to get on the podcast and just bitch about wrestling. Yeah. That's annoying to me.
No, we've tried very hard not to do that. In fact, what happened? I mean. He's fucking gone now.
I still got audio, right?
Yeah, still got audio.
But you know what I'm saying, though. I don't want to just get on a podcast and gripe and complain. It made it kind of almost a pain.
It drains you. Like, it literally just drains you.
I was excited to do this show tonight.
We did that for 4 straight years on this podcast, to be honest. I won't lie. I would like to thank any listener that has been listening this whole time that made it through that period. I know how bad it got. I know how insufferable we were at times. I know how much we got on this show and would talk about how this podcast about pro wrestling and talk about how little we watch pro wrestling, right?
Yeah.
I feel, like I said earlier, invigorated by AEW. I feel like I'm excited to watch it.
Or I'm lying.
And I've kind of been fast forwarding through a lot of WWE television just to kind of watch it, make sure I'm keeping up on it. I just don't really care. They made me care though, because I don't think we've talked about it since we've been on air, but Big E won the WWE championship.
Oh man,
he turned in his Money in the Bank briefcase and won.
Yeah, he literally announced it, and the champion wasn't ready for it.
It made my daughter jump up and down. I think Neo had some good thoughts on it. I didn't necessarily agree, but I get what Neo's saying is that there was a better opportunity to build more of a story about that going into that. They had very little build. They still had the New Day interacting, and it was hard to build because the Big E was on SmackDown, and but I knew for months that this was the way that they were going to get the New Day back together. I could see the roadmap. I saw it before he won the Money in the Bank, that this was their way to get the New Day back together, especially when Raw started to get really boring. And we talked about how SmackDown was really heavy with talent. There was a lot of times where I said, like, this screams that Big E needs to come over, because he's the exact kind of fun, person that would add something to Raw and make Raw watchable. Well, you can tell with what AEW has been doing that they needed to bring over more than Big E, because they need to get Roman Reigns now on Raw as much as possible, and the Bloodline, and really build this feud between essentially their two most popular factions, right? They had to get New Day back together. They had to solidify the Bloodline, and now they're completely relying on that to be the main draw for watching television, and watching WWE right now.
And I really feel like you can't miss, because I think one of the things that was holding WWE together in the tag team spectrum was the Usos versus the New Day. They've had every match under the sun. And I think, with Survivor Series and then the introduction of Roman Reigns, I mean, they can just do more. So that's what I'm excited for. But yes, I would have wanted more build instead of saying like, oh, they're just going to fight next week. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll watch.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah. Like, they're, especially with how much Raw has been treading water, like, have Big E come on the show. Maybe he said he's going to do it and he didn't. Sure, people are going to get mad, but something might have happened that caused him so he didn't have to cash in. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, somebody could have he could have called that shot and then got his ass kicked so he couldn't actually do it. But here we are. Hindsight is 2020, my friends.
Well, I'm glad he's our champion. He's my champion.
He's my champion for sure.
But then we also have poor old Samoa Joe that had to relinquish the NXT title, and NXT and everything they've gone through. Wrestling's really interesting right now, but it's going through a growing period, and it's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, I think that especially the NXT change and what they're doing at AEW is making things where you can't miss it, right? Like, you can't wait to see what next week is going to bring, especially with NXT, because it's just so fucking weird right now to me. Like, there's so many new faces and everybody being introduced. I don't even know what to think about it.
Your head is spinning.
I still think there's like 6 guys that I could pull off of NXT right now that would improve the main roster so much. And all 6 of them are Cameron Grimes, but that's what I feel.
To the moon.
Let's do winners of the week, shall we?
Neil, you're the only one who hasn't said it.
Oh, well, we'll recap all of ours, but Neo, you go first since you haven't given yours at some point during the show.
Yeah, my winner of the week is, and will always be, Kenny Omega, man.
God bless him.
He really tore it down with Bryan Danielson. I mean, but man, like, when he said, like, hey, you want the best bout machine? I'll give you the best bout machine. He gave us the best bout machine. You know
how I knew he took it seriously? He shaved off the fucking mustache, right?
Oh, still there,
kept it. He kept it slightly, but he got it real short. You know why? Because he didn't want to be looking historically back at that amazing match between the two of them and seeing himself with that ridiculous ass fucking mustache.
Dude, I really want to put over the fucking V trigger coming down the ramp.
Yeah, the ramp.
Holy shit. He launched from so far. Hopefully that's a pretty safe move, but he looked like he murdered him.
Yeah. They both look like they murdered each other several times, especially some of those exchanges back and forth where they were just fucking nailing each other with the V triggers and the kicks and the running knees and everything. Oh, it was great. It was so great.
I think the only thing that I was waiting for was when I saw Stephen Amell in the crowd, and the only thing I could think of in the back of my mind is, oh, Bullet Club's fine.
Yeah, Bullet Club is fine.
Bullet
Bullet
Club
Club
is
is
fine.
fine.
Shot
Bullet
with
Club's
an arrow.
Do you want to recap yours again there, Beak?
Yeah, I'll reiterate it because I didn't really go into detail, but yeah, I got to go with Ruby Riott because not only did she beat
I'm sorry,
Ruby Riott.
He said Ruby Riott. He
I
did say
know.
Ruby Riott.
I fucking,
I
you
don't
know
like
what?
it.
You're conditioned. You're conditioned.
I fucking hate
Ruby
you.
Soho.
No,
You guys made fun of
no,
the song, and now
no.
but
No,
anyway,
go.
the Ruby Soho.
the reason Ruby's winning is because not only did she come in and win a belt, she beat Britt Baker, someone that they've been building for forever and ever and ever, and it doesn't feel uncomfortable.
Wait, what?
What? She didn't beat her.
Didn't
Yeah.
she beat her?
No,
I thought she
No.
won the match.
no.
Holy shit! Cut
I'm
this
pretty
out.
sure Britt Baker beat
We're
her
not,
with
we're
the.
not editing this.
No, you
don't-
have to.
You don't watch pro
No.
wrestling.
No, you're fucked.
Holy shit! I love the match so much. I totally forgot that she fucking didn't win. Holy
Yeah,
shit!
no,
The
that's
false finish
understandable.
got me. Damn it!
There's lots of false finishes, but I'm pretty.
Yeah,
right? She
you're
got
right.
her-
No, she did.
Yeah.
She did. You're 100% right.
Yeah, because the other girls interfered or whatever.
But I still think the match was amazing, and regardless if she won or lost, and she looked tremendous.
I fucking love her. I love
Yeah,
her.
she's
I mean,
great.
and you know what's wild is that like she had this pedigree coming into WWE.
Oh yeah, I remember it was now the fucky finish. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had this pedigree coming in as Heidi Lovelace to WWE, and
How
I-
bitchin' was that fucking
I-
stomp, by the way?
I almost thought, based on reports, that she was going to go to the way of other great women wrestlers that came into the company that essentially became like trainers or somebody of the sort.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's
Like Sarah.
and there I had read things that said that was a possibility with her when she came in. You know, it's kind of like a lot of things. The WWE, the AEW, however they handle these people is the impression that we get out of them when they come in. If they make them into a big deal, then we as fans will see them as a big deal, right?
Yep.
That's the one thing that was really well done with her, was not only were those vignettes so great that she kind of did on her own, or at least it looked like she was on her own at the time, you know, made her look fucking cool as shit. And then they have her have this big debut and then immediately go for the championship. And she's a made star in their women's division. Like,
Dude, I
right
can't
out of the
believe I
gate.
totally blanked out the finish. I was so pumped on the match itself that
It was an
totally- the
incredible
fucking-
match.
And I also want to say one other thing.
Well, the
Nia,
fact
when
that
you
it was
pulled
the
up
main, it was the main event too. Like it was the main
Yeah,
event. Of
right.
the
I feel like
show.
such a goof.
Right.
Dude, when you picked up your water bottle that I believe has a New Japan logo on it,
Yeah.
your little thing blurred it out so we couldn't see it. It was like fucking New Japan was editing us in real time.
They know.
TVS Shai is sending us shit
I'm
right
such a
away.
stoner. I forgot the finish of the match because it was so good. Damn it.
No,
Eh,
that's
whatever. It happens.
It's acceptable. It's fine. I
Josh,
will
fix
give
this for me, Josh.
Josh, do we have any emails? So I want to say once again that my winner of the week is MJF's parents. MJF's parents showed up to the show wearing I Hate MJF shirts, along with a sign that his mother held that said, "We're MJF's parents and we think he sucks too." There's
Why are you doing that when
I
there's
don't
me
know.
that I can just do
There
this?
you go. Do that. Do the thing. There they are. Look at how adorable they are. Those are good, solid. Those are good salt of the earth people right
Look at that.
there.
Drives a BMW.
Yeah. Well, she's rocking the fucking scarf too. So
Yeah.
there's I don't know. There's some treachery there, and considering that they are also freedmen's, I don't trust them at all. I don't trust them one bit. Oh, whoa! I'm telling
She's a
I'm
baddie,
telling
man.
them you said that. Yeah, she is kind of a baddie. Good for everybody involved. My favorite part is that I believe MJF quote tweeted that tweet and just said "fuck you" is what he said. Just delightful. Thank you guys so much for making it through 450 episodes of the Steel Cage podcast. We don't know why you're here, but we're glad you are. You can follow us all on Twitter. I am at cap_caveman with a K. Uncle Beak is at JAIMS Vanderbeek on Twitter.
Oh,
and Neo is
misspelled
at
it here on
the.
this.
Did I misspelled it?
No, I
No, he did.
misspelled
He
it.
added an E.
Oh, okay. And the Neo, he's at the Neo X, and that's ECKS at the end. Of course, all roads lead to at the Steel Cage. You can send us an email to podcast@thesteelcage.com. You can also shop at our shop, which is thesteelcageshop.com. There are some wonderful t-shirts there. I am no longer an assistant to a champion, but I am an assistant to a commissioner. So buy the shirt and wear it and piss me off at the show. That's once again thesteelcageshop.com. But of course, Uncle Beak is our resident t-shirt designer, and he's always putting out amazing designs. You can find those at pentagonzo.com.
Yep.
.org.
.com. No, I'm not. No.
.com. Okay.
.gif.
All right.
I just put up one today. It's remembering the moment when Vince McMahon had a gun pulled on him that said "Bang 316." Bang 316.
Those are good memories.
So get that before Vince makes me take it down.
Those are good memories. Yes. Oh wow, that's something.
I just saw it on Twitter. I just wanted to...
that image is something. Oh, Max, you should have never done Rosie O'Donnell. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to episode 450 of the Steel Cage podcast. And remember, kids, MJF's parents think he sucks too.